Welcome back to part 2 of my Iceland vlog, where I spent 1 week on a road trip with my friends driving through the southern coast. This was the start of day 4, where we had a 5-hour hike ahead of us. So we paid for breakfast at the hotel, and they had a really great selection of pastries and fresh fruit, so it was actually really nice. It's a little strange to be vlogging while on vacation, but the desserts looked amazing and I really wanted to share this cheese, which I think was cheesecake, but they had it labeled as cheese and it was so scrumptious. We booked our glacier hike as well as our ice cave tour, which was on the following day, both from Troll Expeditions. The meeting point for both of these excursions were very close to our hotel, which is why we ended up picking it in this pattern. So we picked the glacier hike first because we knew that we were going to be more tired after a 5-hour excursion, and the ice cave was supposed to be less strenuous, so we saved it for the day after. Once we got to our meeting point, we took a bus together to the start of the hike, and the beginning was actually all gravel like this and dirt, so we were off to a pretty tiring start. The hike itself was only 3 hours, but it was actually a lot sunnier than we were expecting, so I put on too many layers and I was getting so hot in my fleece pants. I highly recommend that you wear several thin but warm layers so that it's easy for you to just peel off layers if it's too hot.
Whoa!
Once we got to a good stopping point, our entire group took a break. I took off one of my pants layers and ate my smoothie and the sandwich that I purchased, which I shared with you in part 1. It actually didn't feel any colder on our way up, and this was kind of the overall view of everything. There were a lot of really cool icy layers. And our guide cracked me up because he was very adventurous and decided to take us off-roading, basically, and took us on a path that hasn't been used in a while. Our guide was a man of very few words, so once we got down there, we asked him about it, and he said that he hadn't been in that area for at least 5 months, but it was actually really unique, and you could see all these ridges and layers, so we were really grateful that we ended up with this tour guide. He really cracked me up though. I love that he just created a new path for us and helped all of us get down there. He said that he works for a few tour companies and does a hike like this every single day, and that this one is his favorite. This 5-hour hike is marked at intermediate level, which I would agree with, but I would add a disclaimer that having to carry around the ice pick and crampons when they were not in use did add more weight to our load. This was advertised as an intermediate level hike, which I would agree with, but it is a pretty steep incline for a big chunk of the beginning, so just be aware of that if you are considering a hike.
What part of the mountain were we on? If you pointed in my screen.
I don't know where. Or somewhere over here.
I think so.
Behind there.
Yeah. All the way.
After a long day of hiking, we made it back to our hotel to rest up, use the hot tub, and eat some dinner, which was the same menu as the day before, so we basically ate the same things. After dinner, we waited until 10:30 to 11 p.m. to drive out and try to see the northern lights. It was visible, but it wasn't very bright, and it always looks brighter in my camera, so we were a little disappointed. On day 5, I mustered up the courage to record the beautiful breakfast table, and oh my gosh, looking back on this makes me hungry all over again. As you can see, I got more cheesecake, and we watched some people doing cold dives into the lake beyond the hot tub. I got so cold just watching them do it, and there was this one woman who did it multiple times. After we ate a quick breakfast, we packed our bags and checked out and drove to the meeting point for our ice cave tour. We were on a bus for a lot longer for this one, so our tour guide shared some stories and facts about Iceland, which was really cool. In case you are curious, here is what our Icelandic tour guide sounded like.
And in the summertime, they live in the highlands. I'm always trying to spot them. I didn't see them this morning, but so let me know. The whole time they can jump over.
We were provided helmets and crampons for this hike as well. And I thought it was pretty cool that this one was flexible and kind of wrapped around your shoe like this. They were a lot lighter than the ones that we had the day before that were more of a flat sole underneath your hiking boot. This is basically what the entire hike looked like. It was just one steep hill upward. There wasn't much of a view in my opinion, and it was pretty warm that day too. But we learned from our mistake the day before, and we were more prepared to go up this one with thinner layers on. They said the ground is black and icy due to the mixture of volcanic ash and the ice. This was not what I expected to see, headed towards an ice cave, but this was the entrance and how we walked in. The entrance of the ice cave was stunning. It was this beautiful blue glacier water, and our tour guide showed us where to take pictures and told us to take pictures of him. So all of us took turns taking pictures in this little crevice, and then we walked inside. Although the color of the ice was so stunning, this cave was a lot smaller than we expected. We all thought it was going to be a tunnel that you could kind of walk into, but it was actually very small, and the area that I'm sitting in right here was this view, which we couldn't walk into because that area was considered unsafe. So we really just got a few pictures in and then left within about 20 minutes. Our group was a little disappointed in the size of the cave, especially based on the excursion photos. I know the photos are always better than the excursion, but this was a very small little cave compared to the ones that they showed us. Our tour guide was really nice and did share some other little spots along the way down. And then we made our way back to the bus and to our parking spot. The really nice thing about the end of this excursion was that we got to check out this little Northern Light Bite fish and chip place, and this was in the parking lot for Glacier Lagoon. You do have to pay for parking, roughly $8 USD, to park at all of these lots, so make sure you make it worthwhile. The fish and chips were really tasty, and the fries were perfectly seasoned. There was this one local who kept telling everyone in line that these were the best fish and chips in Iceland, and honestly, I can see why. They were really good. And right after that, we went to check out Glacier Lagoon and Diamond Beach, which are side by side of each other and share the same parking lot. So the nice thing about this is that you don't have to pay for parking again to relocate to this side of the parking lot. But the sad thing was we didn't really see as much ice as we anticipated. The ice chunks float onto the shore throughout the day, and they're supposed to be really big chunks of ice, but we only saw a few pieces. Although they were pretty large, there weren't that many, and I'm guessing it's just a combination of global warming and the fact that we were there in the afternoon. When we did some research on Diamond Beach, a lot of people were saying that the glacier ice chunks are bigger in the morning because they haven't had as much time to melt throughout the day. We said our goodbyes to these beautiful, icy, snowy mountains and started our 5-hour drive back to Reykjavik. In hindsight, I wish we had one more day to explore all of the glaciers on our own and go on our own hikes. The excursions were fun, but I think the ice cave was a little underwhelming for us. On our way back, we stopped by in the city of Vik and grabbed some lunch. We stopped by the soup company and decided to try out the sampler so that we could try all of the soup that they offered, which were all actually really good. This is the red hot lava soup that you can get in a bread bowl, but we also got sliced bread with everything, so you can decide what you want. The really cool thing is every single soup that you order comes with one free refill, and you don't have to pick the same soup. You can pick anything on the menu.
Yeah.
So my boyfriend decided to try out the soup sampler, and it came with 3 soups of your choice. All of them were really good, and the bread was so chewy.
Bread is so
I felt like the bread and the dairy products were extra homey and delicious in Iceland. It all tasted really fresh and natural. The red hot lava soup was our favorite, and I was the only one who got a second bowl before we left. After grabbing lunch in Vik, we were able to make a straight drive to Reykjavik, and you could kind of see the bucolic rural areas fade away as you would start to see all these buildings and the city. I got some drawing time in while we were in the car for my stationery club, which was loosely inspired by the colors of the Northern Lights. At this point in the trip, we were convinced that we weren't going to see a better view of the Northern Lights. It's a lot harder to see the Northern Lights when you are near the city because of the light pollution, so we didn't really have high hopes for tonight, but I kept joking, saying that we might see the best view of the Northern Lights in Reykjavik. For the last 2 nights of our trip, we stayed in the downstairs floor of a house that we found on booking.com. The pricing was more competitive than staying at hotels nearby, and the parking was a lot better because we were able to park in front of this house and walk to all the places we wanted to explore in Reykjavik. I really loved all of the minimalistic decor. This was the main bedroom that was bigger, and then there was a smaller bedroom that just had a bed in it, which was really cute and cozy. I also loved this little sunroom. It was so cute with all the Iceland flags. After we got our luggage inside and settled in for a little bit, it was time for us to look for a place to eat for dinner. The first place we walked into was full and didn't have room to accommodate us, so we went to Cafe Loki. They were also really packed, but they were able to accommodate us with a table on their second floor. My friend got the lamb soup, which came with really delicious rye bread. My boyfriend got this lamb shank, which I thought was the best lamb we had during the trip. And I got some kind of fish dish. I think it was cod, which was pretty good. The fish was really tender. And my friend's husband got like a meat sampler, but I don't remember all the things that were on his dish. We stopped by the convenience store for some snacks, and it was so funny when we saw the Doritos that says Cool American. That's their Cool Ranch. And this is when the evening got wild. We got a notification on our Northern Lights app saying that the view was actually going to be pretty good tonight. About 20 minutes in, this was our view.
Oh my gosh, my camera can actually pick it up. It goes all the way across the sky, and we are actually gonna leave. Babe, my video picks this up. Look.
Oh.
Isn't that so cool? Oh my gosh. This is so cool. I can't believe we're seeing this.
It's success.
In Reykjavik, out of all places. Oh my gosh. This is so cool. It's dancing. Oh my gosh. It's so spread out.
It was the perfect way to end the night, and we got some really amazing photos. Of course, the long exposure makes it look a lot brighter and greener, but this is basically what we saw in real life because my video camera was actually able to pick it up. This was all recorded on my phone. We wrapped up the evening by writing some postcards, hanging out and decompressing from a long day of driving and being outside in the cold for the Northern Lights. The next day was our final full day in Reykjavik and Iceland, which was day number 6. I noticed that all of the places that we stayed at had 2 sets of blankets on both sides of the bed, which was really nice. I wonder if this is something common to Iceland. All of our hotels did that too, and it made it a lot easier because we didn't have to share our blankets, which I know is a random piece of information, but I tend to run warmer than my boyfriend, so that was actually really, really nice. We were able to leave our car parked at the house and walk around the entire city with no problems. I loved seeing all of the different architecture and the colorful houses. Everything about the city felt very warm. We had very open plans for this day and nothing was set in stone, so we walked around and looked for something to eat for breakfast. We walked by Broad & Co., which we had already tried out earlier in the trip, but noticed that they had way more bread in the morning. So we went into Sandholt and checked out all of their pastries and their sandwiches. Everything looked so delicious. They had chocolate as well. I always get so enamored by a huge selection of bread. It always makes me so excited. And even though they were really busy, the workers were really kind and patient because it took some time for us to figure out what we wanted to get. This was by far one of my favorite spots from the entire trip. Meals we had on the trip. It was such a delightful sandwich and I still think about it. The bread was perfectly crunchy and soft. I think it was because it was baked fresh and I still think about it randomly. I wish I could replicate it somehow so that I could make it at home, but I know that's not going to happen. My friend also stopped by this coffee place to get his caffeine fix, and he got one that was like a pumpkin spice drink, I think, and he said that it was really good but tasted stronger on the coffee side, which I think most coffee lovers would enjoy. It was so cute. I used to love stuff like this when I was a kid. I mean, I guess I still do. Babe, you want a little penguin? We went into a flying tiger, which I had never been to, but my friends had, and it was so fun in here. There were so many seasonal cuties and gifts. I feel like this is kind of like a Five Below mixed with a Spirit Halloween and maybe a Daiso.
Personal care for what?
It cleans your makeup sponge. I don't know how. There was also a mini sew here, and I saw this We Bare Bear neck pillow and claimed it. I was like, I think I want this, but I'm gonna wait and come back. We walked around some eateries and sort of just explored what everything looked like. I got to mail out my postcards. And then we got in line for the very famous BBP hot dogs. The line is long, but it is very famous and very inexpensive. So we waited in line for about 15-20 minutes while my friends played Pokemon Go.
What is that?
So that we could leave saying that we tried the famous Icelandic hot dogs. The worker was so good at their job and they were so quick but so friendly at the same time.
Wow, that was so fast.
They put raw chopped onions and dried crispy onions as well as a remoulade on top. So it was actually really good for a hot dog. It had like a unique creamy and crunchy texture to it. It was a great inexpensive meal as well. We spent the majority of the afternoon walking around and souvenir shopping. Icelandic chocolate and Icelandic salt seems to be a great gift option, and we noticed that everywhere we went, they had the same brands and the same products, and the prices seemed the same, which was really nice because we didn't ever feel like, oh man, we should have bought that where it was cheaper somewhere else. We didn't really experience that. I think that they don't really have that many products, and a lot of the things that they carry are the same across the board. I noticed a lot of the businesses were also supporting artists, and that just made my heart so happy to see. At this point, we were starting to get a little bit hungry again since it was lunchtime, so we checked out Reykjavik Fish and Chips. I believe they had 2 locations in this area and had really funky fish wallpaper that I that I thought was really fun. The fish and chips that we had at Glacier Lagoon were made out of cod, and so were these, so I guess that is more common. The fish and chips here were pretty good, but we liked the one from the food truck just a little bit more. I felt like this was prepared really well, but it was a tiny bit more greasy. I absolutely loved everything about Rainbow Road. There were so many rainbow souvenirs and buildings. It adds such a playful and joyful energy to the entire street. I was still really full at this point, but one of my friends wanted to try out this other really famous hot dog stand. So while he waited in line, my friend showed me everything she accumulated for her souvenir shopping adventures.
Oh my god. Ooh. What are they called? Those are the whiskey stones? More protein with chocolate. Fuel. Oh. And Icelandic chocolate. Oh, the salt. I'm really excited for the salt for you. The salt looks really good.
I like salt.
Ooh. Is that cheese on top?
Once our friend made it back, I got a little footage of his lamb hot dog. Honestly, it looks so good, but I was so full at this point. He said it was good, and it didn't have like a hot dog in it. It was just all lamb. After that, we were pretty tired, so we took a break back at our house and then came out a little bit later to the grocery store bonus and got some more souvenirs, mainly crackers and chocolates, and then decided to buy one of the ramen because my friend was craving it and wanted me to eat it with her. I also picked up some snacks and smoothies for the next morning since we were headed to the airport pretty early. For dinner, we checked out a restaurant called Roke, and they also were very, very packed. I can see why so many people made reservations for their Reykjavik meals in advance. They accommodated us with seating upstairs at a round table with couches, so we sort of just sat around hovering over a little coffee table and ate all of these tapa-style dishes. I would say that they were all right. I think they were all kind of different, but I don't think anything really stood out to me. After that, we checked out this bookstore, which also had a bar. And I was told that they have live music every day when I was doing research, so we came by to look around. The band was actually really good, and they played a lot of great cover songs, but the place was a little bit musty for me, and I have really bad dust allergies, and since all of the books have probably been in there for a while, I couldn't stay as long as I wanted to, but they were so talented, and I really enjoyed listening to them. On our walk home, we got to see another cute little kitty.
It looks like he's under like an interrogation light.
And sadly ended the night with all of the boring stuff like packing. We tried the yum yum ramen, and it was very standard ramen, exactly what I expected. And the next day we drove to the airport, dropped off our car rental, and worked our way through all of the security checkpoints. We went to find something to eat, and I thought it was so funny that they had trout salad here. I feel like that's so on brand for Iceland. We got this really yummy croissant sandwich from Elda before getting on our first flight to Newark. Iceland was so much fun. This was such a jam-packed trip. There were so many sights to see, so by the end of the trip, we were pretty tired. It was pretty funny because the airline gave me a hamburger for lunch, and I enjoyed it so much because I felt like I had eaten so much lamb and fish on the trip that I missed eating something just simple like a burger. I didn't realize until after I ate half of my burger that the salad that was on the side was actually the toppings for my burger though, so I had to add them in later. The Prince Polo chocolate wafer bar was also really good and super popular in Iceland. I was so grateful and glad that I was able to go on such an active trip while I was young and while I was able to do that extensive hike. Our group was also so happy to be able to see the Northern Lights, especially since it was our main agenda, but we knew that we may not see it, so the fact that we got to was really, really special. These were all of the October Stationery Club reward designs I got to work on during this trip. I feel so grateful that I got to travel and continue to work on my art while I was away. I hope you guys enjoyed my Iceland vlogs. See you next time!